that upper level there. And so they're gonna put another pole in as a part of this deal. And I got word and talked to the guy. He didn't get back until January 2nd. And I talked to him this past week and told him that that position was okay. I have not heard from Spectrum.
Well, they've also been busy with
Right.
poles down throughout New England. Okay, I have nothing else, thank you.
Okay, and this is Steve Wingate, who, I'm sorry.
Larry Gill. I mean, we aren't talking 3 Mile Island here. They were giving you a name to contact, but in fairness, it's been holidays and
Sure.
one's been in
Sure.
the hospital.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Thanks, Clay.
All right, you bet.
Thanks, Clay.
Have a good one.
Same to you. Our next item of business is Tri-County Transit that is tabled, the way we can't make it here. We have the library warrant article, trustees and treasurer Jack Widmer for 10/20. I don't think Jack's here yet. He's an integral part. Do you mind waiting a few minutes?
Missed all this fun if I left, you crazy?
Okay. Next item of business is review of remaining 2018 warrant articles.
One of which is the library.
Yeah, the second page of that document should be the other ones.
Which do we want to do first? Skip over the library ones, right?
Yep.
Okay, to see if, about Article 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the paving of roads.
I move that article.
I'll second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I guess it's, do you have the yellow outline portion?
Yes.
CIP states that paving of town roads and road improvement projects. Change wording. What wording were we going to change?
Well, I don't see that there's any need to change the wording. This is the same wording that we've used for the same work over the past number of years. It includes the preparation work, again, going back several years. It used to, the preparation, the road improvement projects used to be in the budget, and then 4 or 5 years ago, whenever it was, that was moved and included with the paving in this article. So if we want to change it so that it says includes road improvement projects,
I think so.
I don't know that we need to change anything.
I think we leave it the way it's been. We're not suggesting that the scope of what's involved in that work is going to change any from in the past number of years. If we change the wording, there's always a chance that somebody will say, well, okay, so how's this different than what you did in the past?
Well, and I think we had the discussion with the road agent a month ago or so, that we wanted to expand the scope of preparation. And I don't know that any of us are in agreement with that specifically. Because we wanted to do, and we did add another line item for
Ceiling.
Right,
Sealing.
crack sealing, yeah.
So I think we were keeping the pavement the same, this warrant article the same. And if he wants to alter his other budget, then we'll talk about that. Or we have talked about it.
Right.
Done talking about it. So is there a motion?
I made the motion, you seconded it,
Yes.
right?
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Article 14.
All right, 14. Karen, is that 26,000 what was in the,
Yeah, that's the revised number that he gave us on the handwritten quotes there. Because it was a larger number.
I was gonna, yeah, and my concern is that we're taking part of the work out from what needs, I thought it was like 30,000 or 32,000, something like that.
Originally, that's correct, yep. And then he got a quote and it got reduced.
But that quote only includes the asphalt work. It doesn't include the concrete that's part of the project as well, I believe. Like there's a concrete apron in front of the garage. There needs to be a concrete pad at the fueling shed as part of the paving work.
There needs to be grading, perhaps a catch basin put in places.
It's the first line of the quote. I remember when Jim came.
Right, but that's not the total job.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's just the asphalt part.
Okay.
So. And
Do you need that original number again? I can go
Yeah,
back
if
in
you
my
would, and I
information here for you.
apologize, I don't have it in front
Oh,
of me.
no, that's okay. Give me a second. 31.
Okay.
So what is the 26 reflect?
The 26 is the asphalt part.
Just the asphalt?
Of the paving, right? 31 is the total job.
I'll speak up. I have concerns about this project.
All right.
I was there when Steve Hunter and Paul Bennett worked down at Mirror Lake Station, and you got to go down well below, you know, from the construction business, you have to go down well below the frost line. And when these projects were done, guess what? Boulders were just thrown in there. And they had to, those have to be pulled out. Number two is, the fire station in Melbourne, the fire chief has put in for cement work, a new apron there. And I wanted to ask the road agent, has he talked to the fire department about combining, getting the same vendor to do both? And I don't mean this to be an ambushing comment, but I'm not going to vote in favor of any warrant article until I see the paperwork that we get from the fire chief, or that we get from other departments like Clay, laying it all out of what the costs are. I remember last or 2 years ago, oh, we needed doors, and we needed this, and we needed that. And I said, hey, wait a minute. We need something in writing, and guess what? We had to spend $1,000 somewhere else in the budget just to bring the electrical code back to the box. And the other thing is, I look at the other warrant articles were above our annual what we spent. So I'm not gonna vote in favor today of this warrant article. I would ask that it be tabled, but I'll defer to your judgment.
I'm fine with tabling it. I strongly feel that we need to move forward with it this year. If you have some questions before we put it on the warrant, then by all means, I think we need to engage that. This is the project that's needed to be done for several years. The front wall supports in that garage are deteriorating because of the way the water flows toward the garage. And it's not going to get any better. And if our concern is that there isn't adequate money to do it in what's here, then I think we need to get those concerns addressed. But it's too easy to just say, well, we just kick this one down the road for another year, another year, another year. And we have
Continuing resolution.
Huh?
Yeah,
that's right, that's right. And, we have a responsibility to the town to take care of the physical assets, which include the buildings and the area surrounding the buildings. And it's important to address the drainage issue that runs toward the front of the garage. I feel we need to move forward with it in 2018.
But it looks as though it's a $51 or a $57,000 project.
57?
Well, if we had $31,000 worth of concrete.
No, 31,000 total.
Oh, okay.
It's like $5,000 worth of concrete and $26,000 worth of paving. Now, if it hasn't been adequately, the scope hasn't been adequately addressed in that number, then I think we need to have the conversation to make sure the number's right before we move forward. I certainly support that, but
I agree with what you said. I think we're both saying things we agree with. For purposes of discussion, I'm going to make a motion that we table Article 14.
okay.
Then hopefully our road agent will get well.
Yes.
Because my intention was to take everything to the budget committee by the 6th, for the meeting on the 16th. And if we just keep leaving things around,
Yes,
it makes it harder and harder for them to do their job, so,
well stated, sir.
thanks.
Is there a second
The table,
to table?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of tabling, say aye.
All right.
Motion passes 3-0.
I have a question for you, Lou. I don't have a copy of that, and people who are listening on TV don't either, so when you consider the warrant article, can you read it out loud?
Sure.
Let me read it out for you. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of, this is written here, $26,000 to regrade and pave the town garage parking and loading areas. That's what's written on this piece of paper.
Okay, but the total job is gonna be 31.
Right. That's what we're.
And that was me editing that from notes I had,
Right.
so.
Okay, so
That's
you're gonna
kind of
table-
why we tabled it, because it's jumping around a little
Yeah,
on
yeah.
us.
Does that answer your question?
Do you have this one too, Chip, from today? With the second page one?
Mhm.
That's a good point.
It was all, it looked like this when it was together, but it was gray. But you
On-
can have mine if you want. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On page 2, talks about the article that we tabled on the 8th. An article for Sodom Road Bridge repair, $62,500 to $14,500.
114.
114. In regards to repair cost estimate, HEB recommends the town obtain unofficial quotes to help estimate, as this is such a specialized project. HEB could also put the project out to bid for approximately $6,000 and obtain official quotes. As I understand it, their estimate from 62.5 is doing it in good weather and not finding anything additional. 114 is if they find something serious and it's done in bad weather, correct? Is that a fair representation?
That was a discussion in our
Yes.
last meeting as to why the range is so large on their estimate. So are you suggesting that we move forward with an article at the low end of the range?
What do you, I was gonna say 50%.
Yeah.
The 50th percentile. I picked up on what
Yeah.
you had to say, but you
Yeah.
know what? I'm not the expert engineer and I'm kind of estimating this, so. And it's a balancing act, I
Yeah.
think you folks share with me. This is a major road, needs to be done. What are your thoughts, guys?
Just to step away from that for
Sure.
a second.
Yes, go ahead.
When we do, for instance, the fire truck at $580,000, we're not gonna be spending $580,000 this year.
That's
No.
right.
But we still have to put the warrant article up for $580,000, not the amount we're spending.
Right. And the wording lists what the amount is this year we're coming up with.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna start, we're gonna have a little bit of expenditure. Because if you add $1.9 million for the library, even though we've got $800,000 saved up.
Mhm.
I mean, we're up into the 2,200,000 right now.
That
Before we do
That we're obligating the town in the future, yes.
versus 600,000 last year.
Yes.
So it's like a three-fold increase.
Do I have a copy of that?
I don't know. I can get it.
Should be one with a sticky note on the front.
Oh, yeah,
Right
yeah,
Right
yeah,
here.
you did.
Yeah.
Right here.
All right. Keep in mind, when we're looking at 2018 versus 17, in terms of the money impact, all right? On a lease purchase, it's the current year amount.
Mhm.
The other thing is, while we're looking at, yeah. Yeah, that's the,
I mean, I understand the operation of it. I just, you know, it's gonna come to, as a shock to some folks, I think. And, I mean, it's a significant change for, obviously the library is separate and distinct. But even if you back that out, we're still pretty high. And if we had another 75,000 for Sodom River, I mean, we're at 795,000
Yes.
without the library currently.
Right.
And if the library passes, then that number drops by 30, so you're down at 765.
Mhm.
But you could easily get up over 800 with this
Yes.
bridge,
Yes.
so.
Paving wasn't in that number either.
The paving isn't in there either, that's
No.
right. The 235 that we just passed, so we're cresting $1 million, a little better than $1 million.
The SCBA is similar to last year. The library septic is new. The police facility design is $45,000 less than last year. White Horse is the same as Mount Washington. Contingency is the same. Code officer vehicle, we're buying that this year. Last time, we bought it on a 5-year lease. We're
well,
doing,
last year we bought a police vehicle
Yes.
for 20 grand more than what we're looking for. for a
that's
code
right.
vehicle.
Town office doors is new.
Mhm.
Fire truck, yes, the 580 is the aggregate cost. That's not the,
Mhm.
the,
Impact for a year.
for 1 year, but it is the impact for 5 years, so. Health insurance, yes, it's an increase on our approved by the selectmen, but remember you came up with a $76,000 savings overall.
Right, and that's coming out of the unfunded,
Yes.
undesignated fund balance.
Yes.
But
Paving is the same as last year.
you can definitely sell me on this deal. I'm just saying, if I
Right.
continue in this direction, we're gonna have a lot of selling to do in March.
Absolutely.
Plus, we haven't even talked to the budget committee yet.
Correct.
Back to the Southern Road.
Let's see, so-
I don't have an answer other than an estimate at the halfway point. And if the town says, no, we don't want to repair the bridge, or if they say, yes, we do want to repair the bridge, it's their call, correct?
It is, 88.5 is the midpoint in that range.
Are you comfortable with that figure?
Absent anything else, and we don't have anything more definitive than that at this point.
Chip, what are you comfortable with?
Well, I guess I'm comfortable with the 88.5. I think we're gonna have to look at the whole list at some point, but the wording should be a little more distinct as far as what we're gonna do with it.
Right.
I mean,
Well, then
we should.
that can be worded.
We're gonna repair it, we're not just gonna think about it.
Right,
So,
right.
No, in a perfect world, I'd like to have HEB give an estimate so I can go to the taxpayer and say, this is exactly what it's gonna cost. But at what point do we just spend engineering cost after engineering costs? And I'd have no problem with the budget committee having input.
Yeah. So I will move an article to raise and appropriate $88,500 to repair the Sodom Road Bridge and restore, so that it can be restored to full load carrying capacity.
Yes.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0.
And just as a related editorial comment, we do not have a capital reserve fund for buildings or these sorts of things, or an expendable fund. And what happens is when we have something like this that comes up unexpected, or the septic system at the library, we always find ourselves in a position of, we gotta wait, we don't have money there that we can spend to deal with it. Gotta wait and go to town meeting and get it done. So it's unfortunate in terms of being able to address the emergent needs. And yeah, maybe if we were better soothsayers, we could look into the future and say, you know, we think there's going to be this need, and let's budget money to do it. I think it's great that we're adding a spendable fund to cover health insurance. Having a fund there with money available to deal with some of these other town infrastructure issues that come up unanticipated would be good as well.
Philosophically, this healthcare set aside is really, we're venturing into that area of protecting our
Right,
future.
exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
This topic is healthcare, but it could be bridges or buildings or whatever. So.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
If I'm just trying to get a handle on where we're ending up here. If we impact the budget by the actual payment amount of the fire truck and not the $580,000, so we can get a handle on that.
Right.
And we had $235 for paving, $88,000 for Sodom Road. We're at $661,000 versus $601,000. So it's not, we're not a million miles apart. Obviously, that's before the library article.
Yes.
Right.
But once again, we're not spending $1.9 million in 1 year.
Correct.
Right.
So, all right.
Do we want to move on?
And just as an editorial item,
Right, go
it
ahead.
is obviously up to the legislative body to decide what they want to spend money on, not
Yep.
us. I mean, we're just presenting stuff that
Right.
needs to be done.
Sure.
All right.
The next item is the, if it's okay with you, is the trust fund for health insurance payments.
Yeah, and I was going to mention when we were in the middle of that other discussion, is maybe this is not the year to do it because of the size of the warrant. What do you guys think?
I have no problem that after we go through is, wait a minute, we need to prune this one out, or know which one is the sacrificial lamb. Do you want a table discussion on this and move on?
Well, I don't think we should approve it
Yeah.
categorically. I think it needs to be something that if we need 50 grand, we're gonna find it right there.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. That would be my position.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we table until further consideration the warrant article regarding the $50,000 formation of the $50,000 trust fund for the health insurance premiums of the town.
I'll second. Any further discussion on this warrant article? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Did you have your hand up, Karen?
No, that's okay, thank you.
Okay. Our next item is the warrant article with the fire truck. And the first payment amount needs to be decided. If I remember correctly, the chief was articulate with the last two fire trucks. They have bought the frame and made the down payment. And he argued the points on that, so that's why we would not be waiting until we receive the truck to start making payments, which would be a year delayed, right?
Well, I think that.
My understanding
the year
here,
delayed anyway.
it takes a year to get the truck. We're gonna buy it on a lease purchase. We have to sign the lease purchase agreement before, at the time that the truck is ordered.
Right.
We need legislative authority to do that. And that includes the authority to expend funds for the first year's payment. We talked about, do you pay at the beginning or at the end of a year? But I believe, and you know, we could certainly get clarification from DRA. It's my understanding that we're going to approve funding in the amount of 1 year's lease payment against the total contract in the current year. So you get two choices. You can either do the 123 at the time you execute the lease, or you do 127, whatever it is, at the end of that period, in which case you'd appropriate 127,000 in the year, and at the end of the year you would then encumber that and pay it whenever the end of that first year of the lease is up. So
Do you think that's how it works? I'm
that's
not-
my understanding.
Okay.
All right.
So you're saying that no matter what we do, if we go for a fire truck, 2018's budget is going to be impacted by $125,000 or whatever it is, because we're going to have to encumber the money anyway.
Yes.
Yes. Right. I don't think that we can approve an article, the legislative body can approve an article that includes out-year expenditure for certain without 2/3 majority. I mean,
It's over 100,000.
you know, it's,
But in the following year, it's going to be included as a line
In the
item.
budget, yes.
right,
So
right.
it can be deleted, I guess, if somebody
It
wants
can. It can.
Yes,
to quash the lease.
yes. And there's language that accounts for that.
Are we retiring any debt this year? I don't know that we are.
Well, there were a couple projects that were removed from costing. First of all, the radio grant from the county, wasn't that over
Well, I was wondering
$200,000?
if, some
And then also
fire truck was finally.
And
paid
also
for.
the Spectrum came through. That was a $30,000 expenditure reduced down. So those two things were taken right up.
I, off the top of my head, I don't believe that we're
Yeah, I haven't seen
ending
it.
any spending obligation in this year. So are we in agreement that moving forward, that we're gonna go with a recommended payment at the beginning of the lease period as opposed to at the end of the lease period, or do you want to do some more investigation?
No, if it's our consensus that we're gonna have to encumber the funds anyway, we might as well save the money. And, take the shorter payment. So
Yeah, if we don't, if we put an article on the warrant that doesn't include any money, okay, then my guess is that there really isn't any authority to sign the lease purchase.
Well, it's gonna include money in that we're agreeing to future payments, so.
Subject to an escape,
It's
subject
sort
to
of
an
like
escape.
Zero down payment at the car dealer, you're still obligated to make the payment. But not to belabor the
Yeah.
whole thing. I think
Is there a motion?
So moved.
And that's for the 123, 142.
142, yeah.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next one is warrant article to raise and appropriate $30,000 to replace the septic system at the library, and DRA suggested that there be contingent language added to this article, obviously if the project goes through.
Right.
Mhm. That this particular article doesn't need to happen if
Right.
if the library
Now,
construction.
have we already voted on this warrant article?
We have.
Yeah, you
Yes.
voted on all these are just ones with questions.
So
yeah.
DRA is just a matter of getting the proper language, correct?
If you have a suggestion, we can send it to DRA that way, if you can give me
Sure.
a suggestion.
Okay.
Uh, I know that in the past, we have had warrants that have had contingent articles in them. I guess I'd go back and look at some of the old warrants for something that would have the appropriate language. It just seems to me that's a starting point with DRA, if it's something that they've been comfortable with in the past.
With your permission. Any thoughts, sir? You're very experienced in this field.
Do we have a?
Well, I mean, your choice of one or two things. You leave the $30,000 as a separate warrant article, okay? Standalone article, and then potentially lower the warrant article for the addition as a standalone. Yeah, it's one pair of pants. It's a different pocket as far as I'm concerned. I would hate to think that people would be confused and think that they were voting for something twice. Right? So obviously the $30,000 is going to have to have verbiage in there that's going to say this is a moot point if the library article as presented passes.
That seems the simplest approach, right? And it goes after the library warrant article, right?
It will be after the library warrant article, but it may very well be considered